Hi, everybody. We're back with another episode of Red, White, and Brown with Daisy's Live, and we have with us here today Sid Makkar. Sid, it's such a pleasure having you.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
So, Sid, before we get into your work, I just want to get to know you a little bit more. I know the audiences have loved you in your previous shows, and especially the show that just kind of got over a few months ago, which is Dhadkans and the Geeky. And we absolutely had a huge fan club for you on the show. They were rooting. There was this angst between your character and somebody else's, the other doctor's character, I guess, and they were kind of fighting for the girl. So there's the fan clubs are going absolutely nuts about who ended up getting the girl. So tell us about how you got started with acting.
How did I get started with that? Oh God, I was a student studying computer science and economics in America, actually, at the University of Texas at Austin. I took an acting class. And now, mind you, as a kid, I was always the guy who played the sports. I was not the guy who did the artwork. But when I was in America, I took an acting class. I just felt that I would enjoy this, and I just got hooked. I got hooked so badly that I changed my path, and I decided this is what I want to do. So I came back to India and just, started looking for work and took an acting class, and that's how.
Oh wow, and that's a big one. So you actually changed career paths because you loved something.
Yeah.
How was the reaction of your family? Because knowing Indian families, they would have been so nervous.
My mom had family in the film industry, and she's seen it. She's seen the struggle. She didn't want her son going through it, so she thought my son has lost his mind. He doesn't know what's going on. She didn't talk to me for a while, actually. My dad was very supportive. He was I think he was supportive because he kind of saw that I was coming from a space of that I really wanted to do this, and he just told me, he's saying, listen, son, just if you really want to do it, just stick it out. Don't quit, and then just give it everything. So, here I am doing exactly that.
So tell us about how you actually got started. What was your first show? How did you get the chance?
My first was a film I never talk about. It's the only work I'm actually embarrassed about. It was a movie. I again won in an audition. I came back to India. I went to acting school. I started looking for work, and I booked my first job in 6 months. It all happened very fast. And it was massive in terms of the movie that it was, because I was paired with a big star at the time. The movie came out, and I just thought, I'm so sorted. I just thought, like, that's it. It's done. The dream is worked out. It's panned out well. But the movie came out, it bombed, and I realized that, listen, the work and the struggle begins now. So, that's when I started, I deviated, I started doing theater, I started doing work. I decided that I only take a work that I sort of feel proud about. Money will be second priority, all that. So, so the first one was a big kick I got on my backside, yes.
So, but if, and this was year 2009, if I'm correct.
No, 2009 was my, no, it was before that. 2009 was the first film that I signed, luck by chance. I read that script, and I think that was my second film. And that was a supporting part that I did. The first one, I was the lead guy. The second one, I was just like, wow, I love the script. So even if it's a small part, I'm going to be part of it. And, it's such a cult film. I still have people come up to me and talk to me about that, because it was Zoya Akhtar's first film. And it's about the film industry. I could relate to everything about it. I've seen it. I've seen that whole journey.
I love that movie, the songs, everything.
Amazing.
That was
one
hell of a movie. Yeah. So that must have been a great experience.
That was amazing. Yeah, it was a long time ago. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. Zoya was she's brilliant to work with. I haven't worked with her after that. I've seen it a few times, but she's brilliant. And, she's proven it. She's done such diverse work. She's a brilliant writer, and she's got a very she has a brilliant mind, basically.
Absolutely. That entire family's kind of popping brilliance.
I know, right? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. I know. I'm a huge fan of Farhan Akhtar. Whenever he comes here for concert, I make sure I go. And I swear to God, absolutely love that entire family. But having said that, what made you move to television? I mean, we don't see such a huge distinction between television and the movie business here in America, because an actor is an actor, and it's just a
You know, that's not
medium.
true. That's probably more now. If you look at actors in the history of America, there was a huge distinction between television and
Yeah,
it's
but you
now.
wouldn't ostracize television actors if they want to get into movies. You would
Well, I remember
actually
I
pick
did a
up.
film with Richard Gere, and I asked
Mhm.
him, I said, why haven't you done television? Right? And he told me, he's saying, listen, a movie actor is a movie actor, and there's a difference. Now he's okay, so given he's an older generation, right? So I'll give him that.
Dating.
But yeah.
Not
So
so much anymore. We don't see
yeah,
that
not
happening.
much anymore. I give you that. Yeah, yeah. Not much anymore. So I mean, if you just look at evolution, right? Where in India, we're evolving. America, you know, if you look at the 70s, there was no, whatever I'm aware of, there was no TV actor doing amazing work on in film, or hardly any. So that evolution has happened over there, and I think it's happening in India right now. That's just the only thing. Ostracized, I've never felt ostracized because I've done film, I've done theater, I've done television, I've done commercials, I've done Hindi, I've done English, I've done American, British. I just do all of it. So I and that's been a conscious choice because, you know, I've never sort of stopped myself. There are people who recognize me from plays. There are people who recognize me from television. There are people from films, and there are some people who have no idea. So it's just, have I ever felt ostracized personally? Actually, I haven't. But yes, it does happen, and it's hard to jump from television to film. But even that is happening and has happened and will continue to happen, and those lines will be more blurred, like it is.
We hope so, because I think the advent of web streaming engines are going to make that possible. The content is required,
absolutely,
and the actors are
absolutely,
required.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, tell me about theater. I think theater is your love. Tell us more about you and theater.
Well, theater, it started with, like I said, that my first film came out, it bombed, and I was like, what do I do next? And I signed, actually, the next film that I did after that, before Luck by Chance, was a small independent American film. And I remember a friend of mine told me, listen, you feel like doing a play? I'm going for a meeting, and I think you'd be really good at it. And I was like, you know what? I never even thought of that. She said, why don't you just come and, meet these people? They're really nice. So I said, okay, let's just go. I went for a meeting, and I loved the directors, Banu and Kaizad. I've worked so much with them, and they offered me the first play, and I said, okay, why not? And I just love the entire process, right? So when you're an actor, you just the process is the most important. So the process of theater is probably the purest. Which is why I think I fell so in love with it. And I miss it. I've been trying to get this one play going, but COVID has just, made it extremely difficult. But hopefully next year. I haven't done a new play in a long, long time. I've done a musical as well. I did that for 3 years in Delhi. And after that, I decided that there's a musical called Zangura the Gypsy Prince. It was the biggest of its kind in India at the time. Huge theater, beautiful piece, amazing. We had audiences for 3 years, and I believe it until COVID, that show was still going on. So we're talking 2010 to 19. That's 20. So 9+ years. Yeah. Yeah. So I was part of that for 3 years. So theater has been something that I've kind of actively, just try to keep myself involved in, just because I love the process. That's it.
Tell us about working with Richard Gere in Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. That must have been quite an experience.
Yeah, Richard, working with him, I mean, I didn't have a single scene with him. Oh. So I enjoyed Oh wait, I've lost you. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yeah,
So
you're back.
I enjoyed chatting with him outside of, but who I really enjoyed working with was Judi Dench, because I had scenes with her, and she was amazing. She, she was man, that woman. So much energy. She was talking about her movies. She was talking about, at the time she was nominated for an Oscar. She's in the 80s, man. She's nominated for an Oscar. She's talking about movies. She's talking about just Indian culture, and just so vivacious and so full of life. Inspiring, actually. Very inspiring. And she was learning dancing at the time for something. She said, I have a knee problem, but I got to learn dancing for a movie. Amazing. Very inspiring.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. She's a force of nature. So what makes you choose a script? What's your process of choosing the right script for you?
Well, to be honest, I have said no a lot, and yet I'm not someone who has 10 great scripts in front of me to make that choice, and that's the honest truth of it. But I have said no a lot. I've tried to just do work that I can relate with. I've said no to a lot of work which is high paying, but I just cannot relate to that. I've always played my career as a long-term game as opposed to an overnight thing. I want to be doing this forever. I want to be involved in the business forever. So for me, I think it's very instinctive. I know when I'm reading something, I know whether I like it or not. It's just, if I feel it, if I'm feeling the material. Like I said, with luck by chance, I read the script. I remember Zoya said, listen, I can't give you the script. You can sit in my office and you can read it. And if you like it, because look, it wasn't the leading part, right? And I said, okay. And I read it and I said, okay, give me 2 days. And my only thought was, listen, I'm just playing the lead guy and I'm doing this smaller part. Should I? At the time, I wasn't sure. But I just was like, wow, I just love the script so much. I have to be a part of it. So instinctively, I knew that I love this film. So I want to be a part of that. I did a series called State of Siege, 2611, which was on Z5.
Yeah, we reviewed it.
Again, it was about, my track was about, there have been many projects about it, but never has the media been covered. And the media had such an important role in that, because what the media was doing, and they've admitted it, what the media was doing was giving out information to the viewers, but indirectly also giving information to the terrorists in Pakistan, right? So it was such an important track that I was like, I have to be part of this. It was so just instinctively. I like also experimenting. Like Zangura was the first musical of its kind in India, and nobody knew. Like when we went there for rehearsals, the theater was being built. But that's exciting for me, to try and be part of something that's new and emerging, as opposed to trying to do what's, been done a gazillion times.
So then you must love being in web series, right?
It's the best thing to have happened. I mean, a part of me thinks like, my God, I feel like my career trajectory would have been different if it was there when I first started. I think it would just be a whole different world, but better late than never. It is, it's the best thing to have happened. Best. And it's made the world closer, because, I'm watching content so easily. Otherwise, there were pirated DVDs that we, go towards. Right now, I'm watching content from across the world, and they can watch content that's coming out of India, around the world. It's amazing. It's so,
and there's so many collaborations coming out of this cross-country.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. I see a lot of BBC Studios work being remade. Last week, Dubara released, and that was a remake of a Spanish movie.
Spanish film, I believe, yes.
Yeah, Mirage. So I see a lot of potential there. How do you do different work in the web space? How do you pick your work? What's your process?
Wow. So when Netflix came to India, I had done a small part in Sense8 season 2, and it was on Netflix. At that time, nobody had Netflix in India, okay? But it was here. I did a show called The Reba Diaries, which is set in the 1850s, talking, Urdu-esque language. It was one of the first few shows that Netflix acquired. Okay. At the time, I remember I was trying to produce a film. Now we're talking 2016. Okay, Netflix was there in India, but I think Sacred Games still hadn't come yet. Okay. And I remember talking to a producer, to a financer, and I was like, listen, I've got this film and I want to produce it. And I think web. And he was, what is Netflix? He didn't care at all about. He's saying, no, I understand movies in the cinema. And I said, listen, it's happening in the West. It's going to happen in India, blah, blah, blah. Sacred Games came out. That's when he got introduced to Netflix. He was like, oh, that's amazing. So, that from 2016 to, and of course, the pandemic just changed everything. It just boomed. Everything boomed here. But that growth that happened on the web, I've kind of seen it, been a part of it, and actually want to be a part of it, not just as an actor anymore. I want to be a part of it, which is what I've been working towards behind the scenes as well. So where you get involved with the content and creating the content besides just acting it. But sorry, I've forgotten your question. What was the question?
My question is, what's your process in approach?
Yeah. So I'm just saying, the process of choosing the projects on the web is what you're saying?
Yes. Because there's so much diverse content. There's so much diverse content. How do you fit yourself into a niche?
Yeah. So initially, the stuff that I did was just, like Vikram Bhatt was one of the first few guys doing stuff on the web. And when that show came my way, I was like, wow, I want to do this. I want to be a part of it. I had done Sense8, which was, this cult thing on Netflix. So I thought, why not? And then now it's just boom. Now, in fact, now we're going through a phase where there's an explosion and there's too much of it happening. So you have to kind of pick and choose the stuff. Like I said, for me, it's the same. I just instinctively pick from what comes my way. Yeah.
So you said that you want to be more, you also want to be involved behind the scenes as a producer or a director. So tell us more about that. What are your plans?
I've been working on this one film to produce, actually. So that's what I've been doing the past 6 months, and maybe 4 or 5 months, actually. But yes, that's the idea, because I just feel like being the web being there and the kind of storytelling that I want to be a part of, it's just opens so many doors. And also, you're not dependent on the box office collections. Also, my sort of my sensibilities have somehow not been mainstream Bollywood. I don't know how else to say that. My sensibilities have sort of been I've been drawn to a little of the offbeat kind of things. So it just gives me more courage, to be part of that whole process. Yes. So so that's actually, it's quite exciting. It's also a bit nerve-wracking, but it's exciting. Yeah. It just feels right now. The time feels right to do it.
No, I think this is the right time as well, because content is required. There's paucity of content, and good storytelling will find its audience, honestly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, there is this huge shift in the audience right after the pandemic, of course, because everybody watched a lot of streaming engines during the pandemic. I read a report saying that almost 60% of millennials and Gen Z in India really cut the cord during that time as well. And they've literally moved to web engines, and they've moved to streamers. So with an entire generation moving away from bigger names and bigger actors and bigger banners, and you can see the performance of the big names and the big banners happening right now. How would you create everybody has a niche. For example, actor X is an action actor. Actor Y is the lover boy, actor Z is, so they come with this. You haven't really stuck to a niche. You kind of change your roles across. You've been a true blue actor that way, because you haven't stuck to a certain image that on screen. How are you going to use that to your advantage when it comes to the future of movie making?
I mean, to be honest, who decides who's an action star, or like who made Shah Rukh Khan the best romantic actor? The
Lover
people.
boy.
Because
How?
yeah, right. So he did what he did. He did. I mean, he didn't start like that. He did films where he played the bad guy, but people just took to him when he played the lover boy, and that worked for him. So then he became the eternal lover boy. So for me, it's. I mean, I'm not going to strategize that. I don't have any plans to strategize how people perceive me as an action actor, a dramatic actor, whatever. That's for the people. I will just try and be true to the work that I want to do and be part of. The COVID time has really made me stronger in the path that I want to take, or that I have taken so far. The only difference is that the path that I've taken so far, now I want to scale it. So I'm working on that. I just want to scale everything that I've done so far. Yeah. I don't want it to be as niche anymore as as it has been. So am I trying to figure out, classify myself? Not at all. That's for the audience to do, not for me.
Perfect. So what are your plans? What's coming up next from the Sid Makkar brand?
Well, so I've been working on this film, like I told you, which is very exciting, been part of the writing process and just getting it going. And God bless, I hope to get into production next year. That would be amazing. The next acting work is possibly happening. It's a series. It's possibly happening in November. Fingers crossed on that, because I'd love for that to work out. And so there's, unfortunately, I can't talk about it because it's, still has to, because there's still time until November. So a lot can happen. But so there's a series, and the last thing I did was I did a show, Dhadkan Zindagi Ki, which I actually was, I hadn't done television for about 7 or 8 years before that. And Dhadkan, though, I did just because it was a hospital-based show. The writing was so progressive. And I wasn't, it's, I think, a 75 episode thing. I was only part of 25 episodes, but the writing was so good. I liked what it stood for. It was about a woman breaking glass ceilings. My character was this guy who encouraged her. He was progressive, bit of a it kind of stood with things that I care about. And it was quite interesting. So that, I think that's the fan base that you sort of mentioned earlier. It was nice. I was glad it came my way. It just felt right. I said yes. We shot for it. It was out, and boom, we were done. It was just all happened really fast.
Yeah, that's kind of very different from the way television soaps go on. They go on for 11 years with with absolutely no story and regressive
really
plots.
Good.
So definitely,
writing.
The writing was really good. The writing was extremely good.
And the people were amazing. I mean, I loved working with Aditi, who played the protagonist. She was a treat to work with. She was, it was good. It was a good unit. It was a very happy set. I really had a good time.
And the writing was, I mean, typically there's a lot of folks of feminism happening within these storylines, but this woman, the protagonist, was truly feminist in the real sense. They showed her evolution towards what she is, and that I thought was a very important part of the storyline. So definitely, yes, it was one of the better.
And I was also very happy with my character because I liked what he stood for. I liked, just a quick note on that. I remember asking the producer, I was like, how did you, she was also the writer. So I asked her, how did you formulate this guy? Because I got a lot of great feedback for like, wow, we like the character. Forget me now. I'm not trying to take any credit here. It's the writing, okay? So I asked her, I said, how did you formulate this guy? She said, I went to my office. In my office, I asked every woman, what are the traits in your ideal guy? And she's saying, I just gave him that, So, and yet sort of make him real. So, so that, and, just humanize him. But it was good. It was fun.
Absolutely. We absolutely loved it as well. Having said that, thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to us, Sid. And we wish you all the best for your movie. And we'll keep tabs on where you're going. And of course, we'll call you back and have another chat when you're up to, talking about more work. It was wonderful having you.
Thank you, Meera. It was nice being on this. Thank you so much, and wish you guys all the best.